On today's show,
Did you ever talk to, Avery and just say, hey, man, you cost me a state championship my junior season?
We've talked a little bit about it, and one of my roommates actually now is from Mill Valley, and he was on that team that played against Avery in that state championship game, and he always jokes with me, thinking that we would have had a better game with them that year, than we might have matched up a little better with them.
The turkey should be in the fridge by now, and we are on to the mad rush before Christmas. Welcome into Kansas Sports Chatter, a statewide high school sports entertainment show streaming on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Episode number 30 of the show. Appreciate everybody tuning in and watching. My name is Cole Rife. Excellent time of the year because not only do you have multiple reasons why, because you have the true reason for the season, but then the time you get to spend with family and loved ones. Then also from like a work responsibility, I feel like it's a great time to kind of just chill and relax a little bit because some people are like, well, we have our end of the year reports and blah, blah, blah. But people are always coming and going. They're on vacation. There's treats and there's snacks in the back office or the cafeteria or your kitchen. I just feel like it's a time just kind of relax and kind of hide it back in the shadows. But that's some bad work tips here on the show. So we're gonna move on. Don't listen to me. Be responsible and be professional. Don't slack off this time of the year because everybody else is. The guest today, Maddie Coester with Girard High School, a standout athlete. Addison Douglass, four-time state champion in golf. One of only four girls golfers that have ever done that at a Wamego High School will be our leadoff question. Erik Jones, he's racked up another state championship in soccer at a Blue Valley West. The head coach will be joining us for quality time. Andrew Lynn with WIBW TV, the sports director, will talk about his career and his start in broadcasting. Wesley Buckets White, a scout for DRSportz in the platform. We'll talk about a number of football recruits in Kansas. Will Anciaux, a member of the Kansas State University football team that tied in for the Wildcats and out of Cape and Mount Carmel, will be our next level talent. And we'll wrap things up with a radio highlight from Brandon Tadtman out of Hiawatha Radio. Let's get things started with our leadoff question. It is today's leadoff question with Maddie Coester, a member of the Girard High School volleyball team. Hey, Maddie, do you have any superstitions on game days?
Yeah, I have a few actually. So before every game, I like to pray. That kind of started, we would pray as a team, but I also pray with myself. And this year I've been praying with a couple teammates, and it's just something we like to do to get the day started. My next one, on game days, I eat either chocolate chip pancakes or chocolate chip waffles with bacon. And I like to wear the same clothes on game days. And I keep my hair the same. It differs every year, but this year it's a slick back with 4 braids. And lastly, I always put my Apple Watch around my water bottle.
Wow. Okay. So I guess a lot to unpack here. Let's start at the last one here. The Apple Watch around your water bottle. What started that and why?
Yeah, so me and a girl on my team, we had the same water bottle, and I kind of started that just to differentiate whose is whose. And then one game I didn't have it, and something felt off, and so I just kept it on ever since.
And then the hairstyle, so do you sit down before the season even started to figure that out?
No, I just kind of, before the first game, I decide what I want to do, and then if I like it, I'll stick with it, and if I don't, I'll just kind of figure it out until I decide what hairstyle I'm set on for the season.
Okay, and then the food. So for you, the pancakes, did you have a certain meal? Like, okay, hey, I played well after this meal, then you stuck with it. When did that start?
Yeah, that kind of started in middle school. I had them one morning, and then I played super well that day, and it's a lot of protein too to get the day started. And I just kind of stuck with it every year.
Now, does it have to be chocolate chip pancakes?
It doesn't have to be, but I'd like it to be.
So for you, once you got these started, do you feel at ease, when you go into a match, when you have all these lined up?
Yeah, for sure. If something in my daily routine is kind of out of whack for a game day, I get a little stressed out about it. I feel like I need to have my rituals planned out.
Does anybody else know about your superstitions? So no one messes with you, right?
Well, some people know about them, but I don't think they know that I do it every single game day or how many I have, but they do know about most of them.
That is Maddie Coester with Girard Volleyball with our leadoff question. It is today's leadoff question with Addison Douglass, a member of the Wamego High School golf team. Addison, any superstitions that you have on game day or meet day?
Not really. I have one for state though. I just wear the same pair of golf shoes all 4 years that I've won it. They're just my lucky state shoes, I guess. I don't know. And then it's not really superstition. It's more of a tradition. I like to pray with my teammates before we go play. And another tradition, I guess, is that I mark my golf ball with a cross on the left side of the number and a KT on the right side of the number. And the KT represents my late golfing buddy, Corbin Tinkell, and just reminds me to enjoy the game as much as he did.
When did that start for you? Let's start with the golf shoes. So like after your freshman year, like when did you, this is going to stick with me?
So I wore them like both seasons all year for my freshman and sophomore year. And then my junior year, my dad was like, don't forget to wear those shoes. And I just wore them again my senior year. It just became a tradition. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, they must be a good pair of shoes. Like, are they a specific kind that you like?
They're the Adidas Tour 360s. They were super comfortable, but I hadn't worn them really since state the year before, so they kind of hurt my feet this year. But
well, Adidas, not an ad, but wish it was. So for you, the prayer before you go out there, any specific prayer that you do before you go out?
We just kind of gather up as a team and we pray over our round and that we glorify the Lord through our game today, and remember that the score does not define us at the end of the round, and just go have fun. Just a pretty simple prayer, just a couple little reminders to us.
Those routines have worked out well. I mean, for you, getting that four-peat, if you will, on the individual side for Wamego, like what did that mean for you, able to capture a state championship each year?
It was pretty awesome. It's super cool to join the club of four, and I know two of them really, really well, Julia and Kinsley. So that was super cool to join them. But the team titles definitely mean more to me than the four. It was just so much fun to get back there with my team this year and win it.
Your plans going forward after your senior year?
I'm going to go play golf at Appalachian State University.
Nice. That is Addison Douglass with Wamego Golf Team and our leadoff question. Couple big-time athletes out of Girard High School with Maddie Coester, and then the four-time state champion in girls golf, and that is Addison Douglass with Wamego High School in our leadoff question. Thanks to both of those two. We'll take a short pause in the action. When we come back, our quality time interview with Erik Jones. He's the head coach of the Blue Valley Southwest soccer team who picked up another state championship this fall. Erik Jones joins us next.
Referees and game officials are a vital part of high school athletics. These men and women take time out of their lives to ensure a safe and fair environment for student athletes. As you attend sporting events this year, keep in mind the hard work and dedication of the officials. Respecting officials and authority figures is one of the most valuable lessons that we can teach our students. The Kansas State High School Activities Association and the Student Advisory Team would like to thank all those who take the time to officiate our competitions.
It's time now for our quality time interview, an opportunity to spend a little extra time with our next guest, and that guest we'll bring in was Erik Jones. He is head coach of the Blue Valley Southwest soccer team, coming off another state championship. Hey, Coach, appreciate you coming on the show, and now you're several days removed from that state championship. Does it feel just as sweet?
Yeah, for sure. First off, thanks for having me on. I've been looking forward to this for a couple days, and yeah, anytime you are fortunate enough to win a state title, it feels good. It feels good for sure. And super proud of this group and, what they achieved this year. And yeah, it's exciting. We'll let this soak in for a while. We won't think too much beyond this for about a month or so, and then we'll get back to it.
Well, go ahead and take me through that championship match with Maize South, a 3-2 win, obviously going to penalty kicks, but take me through some of the play-by-play, I guess.
Yeah, so obviously we're a little bit familiar with Maize South and those type of high-stakes games, but this year was a little different. You know, the wind was a pretty big factor for sure. And so, you know, it wasn't the prettiest of games. I thought both teams played incredibly hard. And neither team really was able to take advantage too much of possessing the ball. It was a little bit back and forth. You know, they went up 1-0, so we went into halftime down a goal. But honestly, we felt like we played really well, especially going against the wind. And they were such a high-powered offense to just eliminate or to, you know, keep the score within one. We created some nice chances in the first half. We just didn't quite get it done, but we were very confident. There wasn't we weren't panicking at halftime. We just kind of mapped out some strategy and how we wanted to attack them and how we needed to negate some of their offensive threat. And I think we did that pretty well. We came out and scored, I think, within the first 3 minutes to even it up. And you could tell there was a big shift in momentum. And, you know, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes later, we scored another one. So we're up 2-1 and we're feeling pretty good because we have the wind. And we had actually generated some other quality opportunities. But Maize South is Maize South. And, you know, they played really hard. Coach Ramirez does a fantastic job there. And they found an equalizer kind of off a throw in. It kind of got banged around in the box. They actually hit the post and went right to their guy, and they tucked it away. And so now it's 2-2. And again, we still were generating quite a bit of offense. As the game went on, the game got really stretched on both sides. It was like they would come at us, we would defend, midfield get really stretched, we'd counter, we would go at them, and it just kind of went back and forth until the overtime period. And then in overtime, you know, we have 2 10-minute overtime periods. We had a really good look. Eli Mick got in behind their defense and just was unable to quite finish. And he's been a finisher all year long. Keeper made a good save. I'll give him tons of credit. And then they got in behind us one time, and our goalkeeper, Wyatt, he came out of the box. He probably had to come 35 yards out. And luckily, their front runner had a heavy touch, and Wyatt was able to clear it outside his box. So then, you know, going into PKs, you never know. We felt really prepared. You know, it's something we practiced throughout the season and leading into postseason. We spend a lot of time on it. So we were as confident as you can be going into a shootout. But, you know, when their first guy or their second guy missed, you know, we felt pretty good. I thought somewhere along the way Wyatt was going to make a save for us, and sure enough, he made the next save. And then Dane, who's one of our best PK shooters, senior, super clutch, felt real good with him going to the spot, and he absolutely buried it. And there you go. That was the game.
When you get to PKs, and I mean, not necessarily how much do you practice it, but just the strategy when you're talking to individuals as far as their placement, is it whatever they feel comfortable with, or like what's the approach on an individual basis when you're setting up a kicker? Yeah,
so there's a couple things. You know, players will do different things. Some guys go up there and they know what direction they're going to go. It's just a matter of, can they execute it? Can they hit it with pace and put it where they want it to go? Other players like Dane, he's more of, he's going to kind of read the keeper a little bit. And whichever way that keeper he can get leaning, some of that's kind of his approach. He kind of does a stutter step. And so if he can get leaning into it, or get the keeper, leaning to one side or the other, that he usually puts it the opposite side of where the keeper's going to go. So it's just kind of up to them. What I tell them is, hey guys, we've practiced this a long time. The biggest thing is to have confidence, have an idea. If you're going to wait for the keeper to you know, kind of dictate where you're going to go, that's fine. If you already know where you're going to go with that. Don't second guess yourself. Be confident, and then just go up and strike it with a purpose and pace. And that's just what we told our guys, and that's something that we work on in practice a lot. And then as far as the goalkeeping, that's a whole nother animal. I'm not a goalkeeper expert. So I know Wyatt had mentioned, in an article, like he had an idea and he was going to stick with it and he was going to go. And if he's going to go and guess that direction, then he's going to go hard. And that's what he did, and came up with a big save. But I think with penalty kicks, being confident is key. And then, just executing it.
Where do you stand on PKs? Obviously, it worked out well in the state championship for you guys, but I know there's some coaches out there and even soccer enthusiasts that are completely despise PKs, saying that maybe it's not a true representation of the game. But I know it's just part of it. But kind of where's your stance on PKs? Yeah,
that's a good question. I've now won a state title in PKs, and I've lost a girls' state title in PKs. And actually, when I was a player, I was fortunate enough to win a state title, and we had to win in PKs. So I'm not opposed to it. I mean, obviously, we would like to win one in regulation. I don't know. I mean, at what point you just keep going? I mean, at some point, there's got to be
right
mark, I think. I mean, is it the best way to end? No. Do I feel bad for May South that that's the way it ended? Sure. I mean, I don't think anybody really wants that to happen, but at the same time, I don't know unless you just keep going and going and going. And then, I don't know. It's a tough question. It's definitely worth looking into. But I think, at every level, that's the standard, from the professional level into like the World Cup, down into college, into high school, into like state cup and things like that at the club scene. I mean, at some point, PKs are a part of the game. I know on the Missouri side, like if we were to go play Rockhurst, and we got into an overtime, Missouri, you have to do PKs. So it's a big part of the game in other states. So I guess if you made me pick, I would think I'm okay with the way with going with PKs to end it. Is it the best way? No, but I don't think playing, 180 minutes is the best way.
Right.
There.
Right. Well, you mentioned the wind a couple of times, Coach, and like the obvious factors, I guess, on how the wind comes into play, and people think about, football and how it affects the kicking game and the passing game. For soccer, what are some of the ways that you go about combating that, especially like you did in that first half in the championship?
Yeah, I think, when you go against the wind, sometimes you have a little bit more success because it forces you to keep the ball a little bit, because you can't always drive through the wind. Now with the boys, it's not quite as a big a deal. So again, going against it, sometimes it can help you out in some ways, especially if you're a good team that can connect and possess. Going with the wind, you have to be a little careful on offense, because if you just rely on just knocking the ball long every time, the ball's going to run out. And if you're playing against a keeper that plays off his line, he's going to clean a lot of that up. So if you are going to go long against the wind or with the wind, you really have to go kind of diagonal to keep the ball in play. At least that's what we try to do. We try not to attack too vertical with the wind. Defensively against the wind, you got to have coverage. You want to make sure, like if you're playing or at least what we ask our guys, if we're playing, 4 in the back, usually we're going to have one guy up and then one guy kind of sagging behind just to, for a little safety valve. And like I mentioned, we have our keeper play off the line. So anything that gets vertical through with the wind, they're able to clean up. I think, you just have to be able to adjust to the elements and understand, consequences of if you misplay it and how do you recover if you misplay it, or if going with the wind is a strength. And it helped us because, when you're with the wind, you can definitely put pressure on the back line and you can keep the ball on their defensive half as well, and really, kind of keep them defensive set or defensive minded, so.
I wanted to ask you about Terry Hare. I know you were able to play for him at Olathe East, Coach, growing up, and then then your ongoing relationship, being a part of the staff as well. What has that meant for you, just as a soccer player and also as a soccer coach?
Yeah, Coach and I go back a real long time. I think when I played for him, he was actually younger than what I am now. So he's obviously been a massive impact on me from a early age to now. And we have a special relationship, his knowledge of the game is so grand. We're constantly bouncing ideas off of each other. And I lean into him on, situational play and, his experience and, hey, if we're going up against this team, what are some things you've done in the past? Sometimes we don't always see eye to eye, and that's part of the coaching relationships you have. And I think the fact that we're so close, sometimes, that can get a little deeper, but at the same time, we both really enjoy coaching and with each other. And, our relationship goes beyond just the field, but to have him on that sideline, it makes me feel good and feel like, hey, it's a nice luxury to have that I don't know if a lot of people get to have that in their career. Obviously he's great with the guys and he has amazing relationships with them. It's kind of interesting. We almost run it in some ways kind of like a football program. I give him a lot of credit with the defense. That's kind of like his specialty. He's always been a great defensive minded coach. And I was a former forward and, played that in college. And so I kind of roll with the offensive philosophy and he kind of handles the defense. So that's kind of a unique situation too. And I think that's worked out obviously really, really well for us. And, I trust him more than I would trust anybody else. And a lot of times, if he gets to make the decisions on who he's subbing on the back line and things like that. And if he wants a different personnel, he doesn't have to ask. He just puts them in. And, there's a good give and take there. And again, I handle more of the midfield and offensive responsibilities. So.
Hey, Coach, appreciate your time and congrats on another state title.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. I really appreciate you having me on. I appreciate all you do for high school sports here. It's awesome to follow you. So thanks a lot.
You bet. That is Erik Jones, head coach of the Blue Valley Southwest soccer team, and that'll do it for our quality time interview. Here's a hard truth. If your business isn't using AI in its marketing, you've already fallen behind. But there's an advertising agency in Kansas that can get you back up to speed. That agency's name is Meyers Enterprises Media Research. The name sounds dry because the company's run by engineers, not salespeople. They use superior research and analytics that drive results with surgical precision. Marketing doesn't have to be a gritty battle in the trenches. Your business can win from the box. Visit their website, mediaresearch.agency, to learn more. It is our Faces, Voices, and Writers segment on Kansas Sports Chatter. With so many great sports media personalities across the states, here is our opportunity to get to know some of them a little bit better. Our guest today, Andrew Lind. He is the sports director for WIBW TV in Topeka. Hey, Andrew, appreciate you coming on the show. I know you're a Kansas guy. You spent some time in South Dakota, but where did you originally grow up?
I grew up in Overland Park, and it's good to be back. I wanted to get away for a few years, and I did that. I was in Arizona and South Dakota, but to be back closer to family and cover the teams and schools that I grew up watching and cheering for has been honestly one of the best things so far.
So that time in South Dakota, sports are sports, but how much difference was it just being up north?
Well, it was so good to just get your feet wet in a place where the consequences were so low. You weren't covering South Dakota or South Dakota State because that was on the eastern half, but we had a couple Division II schools in the RMAC conference. We had arena football before the Arena Football League went bankrupt, and then we covered some ECHL hockey, which is 2 levels below NHL. So it's NHL, AHL, and ECHL. So when you think about the sports there compared to what you're covering in Kansas City with the Chiefs and the Royals and KU and K-State, it's a little bit different, but it was a good place to kind of just get started and learn what it's like to work in TV sports.
Well, it's not like Kansas doesn't have rodeos, but what is the equestrian style like up in South Dakota?
Well, it's funny because I grew up in Overland Park, and so when people hear about Kansas, they obviously think about Wizard of Oz. I think about you growing up in the small town, and I obviously grew up in more of a suburban area, but I never went to a rodeo growing up, so I didn't know what to expect. So when I got out there, I just learned that it was better to kind of just act like you know nothing. Don't act like you know what you're talking about. Ask lots of questions. But by the time I left, I would say I was pretty well traveled when it came to rodeos, and I felt like I knew a bit of what I was talking about. So now when, friends or coworkers ask me about rodeo, I can say, I know a little bit about that.
So nobody at WIBW has asked you to cover any rodeos yet?
No, Topeka at the Expo Center had a bull riding exhibition this summer through PBR, Professional Bull Riding. I think there's, the state fair is out at Hutch, I want to say, every year. But I haven't got out there. So no rodeos under my belt now.
All right. Well, we'll put that on the list of things to do. For you, like sports broadcasting, what got you interested and why you wanted to start specifically with television?
So I started with print in college. I liked print because it was longer form. I feel like you could express your thoughts and have more kind of a drawn out story with as much, I say ink and paper like we're back in the 1800s, but with as much room that I could write. But then I really fell in love with the video aspect and realized that it's the same storytelling, but with a different element. And so, how can we show people what we're talking about? That was really cool for me. But then the whole TV thing kind of just came out of left field. I really like to storytell. And so I thought, hey, this is a career where I could talk about sports and I can storytell all in one with that video aspect that I really liked. So it wasn't really until my junior year at KU that I started to explore what TV would look like. And then that obviously led me to getting a master's degree at Arizona State, and then 2 years in South Dakota, about a year and a half before I came back to Kansas.
You talk about your schooling there, especially the time at KU, and then Arizona State, which I know has a really, really good sports broadcasting and media program as well. Like being in those types of programs with that type of talent, what was that experience like for you?
Honestly, so glad I went to KU, and that's a shout out to KU. I mean, Arizona State, Syracuse, Northwestern, they have these what I call Harvard-like, Ivy League-like experiences for journalism school. But KU, the best part about KU is it's so hands-on, it's so student-led. You have professors there to walk you through and mentor you, but a lot of the mistakes that you have are because your peers are running these type shows and they're in these type leadership positions, where when you're at ASU, you have a world-class faculty, not that you don't at KU, but you have this world-class faculty that leads everything. And so the shows look a lot different. The product looks a lot different because of the mentorship and the oversight from these faculty members. But yeah, to be in those environments, I always said that I wanted to be challenged by being around the best journalists I could be. I'm not going to be a good journalist if I'm not trying to, surround myself with the best. So yeah, ASU and KU, two great journalism schools.
You get to WIBW earlier this year, and like that experience as a sports anchor, can you kind of elaborate on what that, I don't want to say the pressure, but like when you're sitting there getting ready for, a sports cast, and then there's a game going on and trying to get those results and trying to get that story written, and then, the video edited as well. What is that mad rush like right before that sports cast?
Well, I think most importantly, this transition from Rapid City to Topeka was a big one. I had done the job before. I was assuming more responsibility in this new role, but covering a couple D2 schools and then covering, like I said, ECHL hockey and arena football is a little bit different than covering two professional teams, 4 colleges when you add in Emporia, State, and Washburn. So the level of product and then how much the quantity of it was a lot to overtake. But for the newscast, I say, you know what? It's not going to be Emmy Award winning every time. Or anytime, it's just about getting it done, going through the steps. I mean, obviously you want it to be the best product that you can be, and you're going to try your best. But in terms of worrying about the stress or the rush, it's like, that's what you live for. You live for editing, something within 5 minutes to see it air 5 minutes later. But in terms of getting nervous about everything happening, it's like, you know what, I'm going to do the best I can do. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, I get a newscast in 4 hours.
Yeah. For you guys, you go to the WIBW webpage and you guys do a great job with your coaches show. How much fun has that been? You have those, the shorter sports casts, but then you kind of have that opportunity online to kind of go into further discussion with some of your area coaches.
Yeah, I'll give you one in specific that I did recently. I did a coaches show with the Shawnee Heights tennis coach, Matt Stockdale. And these coaches shows are great because they give coaches opportunities to share more about their team. When we do interviews, they're so short, and then they get cut down even more for our story. And so this gives us a chance to not only talk to our area coaches, but maybe some coaches that we don't get to talk to as much. In the fall, it's really hard to balance, football with volleyball, cheer and dance, which state was around this time, volleyball, boys soccer. So there's all these sports that you get to cover. And so I talked to Matt Stockdale, who is the tennis coach for Shawnee Heights. And one of my coolest stories this fall about how the Shawnee Heights tennis program almost went extinct 2 years ago if he wouldn't have stepped up to take, the reins of the team. And, that's a story that I uncovered in a coach's show. So it's another way to talk long form, and then also kind of pick up some of these story ideas that I've used throughout the fall.
How do you go about balancing some of that interest, as far as your audience is concerned? Obviously, like you mentioned, the big sports, the Kansas City Chiefs, where's the Royals, or, the colleges around that have more that maybe that statewide interest compared to focusing on some of those high school stories as well. Obviously, people there in Topeka, want to hear those. But like, how do you go about balancing the, the big time stories, but then also, some more of the local interest as well?
Yeah. It changes every single week. The two big things that I think of are what are the big storylines of the day, typically locally, not nationally, because if you're a really big sports fan, you're probably watching ESPN. You're probably consuming, sports from more than just local news. You're watching your favorite podcasts. You're watching your favorite shows. So I'm thinking, when someone watches local news, they typically are watching for the news and then probably the local weather. So when it comes to sports, what can I tell them that the general person is going to care about? What's the biggest story in the area that day? Whether that's Washburn, KU, high school, Chiefs, whatever it is, what's the biggest storylines, and how can I relate them to the people that are watching? Again, the people that are watching local sports, I wouldn't say are your typical hardcore sports fans. They just want to know what's going on. So what local stories will appeal to them in terms of then, why do I cover the Chiefs versus, the Royals? Obviously, if one's in season and one isn't, that's an easy answer. Another answer is who's doing really, really well right now. Like, last year, Washburn men's basketball played for a Final Four. Okay, well, they got more attention than Emporia State women's basketball. That's because Emporia State women's basketball, didn't make the tournament or was having a slow season. So it's really, who's doing well, what do people care about, and what are the stories that I can make, relatable to an audience.
All right, last question. We'll put you on the spot. Since you've arrived back in WIBW, what's been the most fun or rewarding story that you've been able to cover so far?
In Rossville has their grandstands. They've been around at their high school have been around for over 100 years. And Rossville, a tight community, a tight-knit community. And so baseball in that town and sports in that town has become part of what Rossville is. So they've recently renovated those stands to preserve them. They had a choice to either tear them down or rebuild or refurbish, I guess. Mm-hmm. And they decided to renovate them and refurbish them. And so that was kind of cool just to talk to so many stakeholders in that community and learn about how much that stadium means to them and how much it means to keep that in their community. So I did that a couple months ago, and it gained a lot of traction about, the historical aspect of baseball and these grandstands in Rossville, but what also this will mean, for future generations in that town.
Excellent stuff. Hey, Andrew, appreciate the time. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Cole. Thanks for having me on.
That is Andrew Lynn, the sports director for WIBW TV in Topeka. SPX Specialized Video Wall Solutions. Your gym needs SPX. Welcome back on the show. It is time now for football chatter as we'll bring in a scout, Wesley White, Buckets, as he's known, is joining us here with DRSportz and also the platform. Hey, Wesley, I want to give you the stage here before we dive into some of the recruits in the Sunflower State, but kind of explain to me what you're doing and also the platform and DRSportz and what it's all about.
Yeah, so DRSportz in the platform, we are expose the unexposed. What we do is we find the diamonds in the rough, the hidden gems all over the country. I happen to be the lead Midwest scout, so Kansas is right in my area. I do live in Kansas, so I'm at all your Friday night games. I'm at your 7-on-7 tournaments nationwide. I'm at your college campus camps. I'm at your exposure camps. And that's where I find my talent. That's where I see it. Been doing the scouting thing for over about 15 years, but I've worked for DRSportz for about 2 years. And so what we do is all of our guys that we see with our own eyes. We do not take other websites or recruiting advice or anything. We are boots on the ground, so we see those guys play. So if I tell the coach this kid, everything about this kid, I've seen it with my own eyes. Where that matters is that a lot of coaches, they might go to huddle video. They might get a name and then they'll go to huddle video and they'll just watch the huddle video or read a stat line. We don't do that. We're boots on the ground. For instance, there's a wide receiver that has a great stat line or and a great huddle video. However, if I go out and see him and he wide receiver will not block downfield, that's not going to make the highlight film. However, if he gets on campus and he doesn't want to block downfield, he's not going to play. So that's where the boots on the ground comes in. And again, we are exposing unexposed, the hidden gems. A lot of these guys I'm going to mention are hidden gems, and they are going to make some college coach a title winner.
All right, let's get into it. Let's start out with one of the recruits you want to talk about.
All right, Brandon Pappas. He is a 5'7", 180-pound running back out of Goddard Eisenhower. In 9 games, he had 200 carries for 1,650 yards. That is an 8.24 yards per carry. 8.24 yards per carry. He had 183.2 yards per game, 19 rushing touchdowns, 13 receptions for 130 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He also had 5 kickoff returns for 221 yards with 2 touchdowns. Now, remember, I just told you he had 5 kickoff returns and he had 2 touchdowns. So that's pretty good average. He had 2,000 yards, all-purpose yards, 23 touchdowns total, and RA Analytics, which is an analytics that times, and they are a legit timing company. They timed him at 21.8 miles an hour, and that was in pads.
Wow.
So he has offered Coach Drew Smith down at Southwestern in Winfield. They've offered him, but he got looks from Fort Hays, Garden City, William Jewell, Southern Nazarene, and Independence. So that's Brandon Pappas. He's again 5'7", 180-pound running back out of Goddard Eisenhower. Then I want to go over to Cody Wright. He's a running back linebacker, 5'11", 185 pounds out of Colby. Now, he plays both sides of the ball. My personal opinion is he's going to make his money on Saturdays at the linebacker position. A wonderful, wonderful linebacker. But on offense, he had 80 carries for 553 yards. That's a 7 yards per carry with 8 rushing touchdowns. He had 23 catches for 428 yards. That's 18.6 yards per catch with 2 touchdowns. And he also had 13 kickoff returns, totaling 428 yards, 2 touchdowns with 1,483 all-purpose yards and 12 touchdowns. Now, again, I said he plays defense. Again, I think that's where he's going to make his money. He is an outside linebacker nickel. He had 54 total tackles, 2 interceptions, and 1 pick. 1 pick six. And he had 1 forced fumble, 5 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. Now, this last week he got offered from Chadron State. He has looks from Southern Nazarene, Nebraska Kearney, William Jewell, and McPherson. Going on to this is my personal most college-ready quarterback in the state of Kansas. What I mean by that is when you mix his size and his ability, some guys have better stat lines, more polished mechanics, but for me, he is the best college-ready quarterback. He's 6'4", 215-pound Brett Leduc out of Blue Valley West. Now, he is a transfer. He transferred up this last year from Lake Dallas, Texas, and he had 198. He completed 198 passes out of 307 attempts. That's a 65% completion percentage. He had 20 touchdown passes. He had 2,438 yards, which is good for the number 2 most yards in Kansas. He set a school record for completions in one game at 35 completions for one game.
Wow.
He had 198 completions also at Blue Valley West, a record for total completions. He has offers from all over the country. He's offered from Mary Hardin Simmons in Texas, which, if you know college football, they are like the Ohio State, Georgia of D3. So that is a great offer. Millsaps College in Jackson, Mississippi. He has an offer from Hendrix College in Conway, Arkansas, and McPherson here in Kansas has offered him as well.
It's quite the list.
Yep. I got more if you want them.
Yeah. What else you got?
My most exposed, unexposed that I have is William Voos. He's a running back out of Sabetha, 5'7", 170 pounds. He has 1,440 yards on 180 carries with 17 touchdowns, 0 fumbles. Now, I said he had 180 carries. He has 0 fumbles in 180 carries. He's an every down back. Between the tackles, he makes himself skinny. And if you go watch his video, he has an amazing jump cut. I think it's his 3rd clip in his video. Go watch that jump cut. It is next level. Now, Keegan Schumann, he is the owner of Revive Performance Camps. And at those camps, Keegan has a measurement, and he measures analytics and rates, and he puts them in a program that rates you as a D1, D2, or wherever you rate. And William ranked out at a D1 level at every single one of those camps. He's been to 2 or 3 of them, and every one of them he ranks out as a D1 recruit. So he is a Kansas State Track and Field Championships medal winner as a junior in the long jump, and he also set the 2A state bench press record in powerlifting. He broke that record by 40 pounds. So William Voos is absolutely one of the most underrated backs in the state. Absolutely. Then I want to let's go to another quarterback Zayn Viega, 6'3", 190 pounds out of Hayes. Dual threat quarterback, 76 completions out of 150 attempts, 51%, 937 yards passing, 13 touchdowns. He has over 300 yards rushing with 4 TDs. Now, he recently got offered by Laverne University out in California. He's also offered by my good friends there at Sterling. I have a really good relationship with the Sterling guys. He got looks from McPherson, Drake, Brown, and Central Oklahoma. And then I got one more for you.
All right,
this will be the last one.
No, you're good.
The last one. Noah Kowacheski. He's a 6'4", 225 pound out of Seaman. 31 catches, 450 yards for 3 touchdowns. Now, what I like to say about Noah is he is a true tight end. He's not a hybrid. He's not just a pass catching tight end. He is a true blocking, pass catching tight end. When he blocks, he'll take you. He'll put you in your mom's lap. He blocks you all the way sideline. Now he has offers from Iowa Western, who is the number 2 ranked nation in the nation in junior college. So that's a really good offer. He has offers from Butler, Coffeyville, Garden City, Northwest Missouri State, Sioux Falls, Washburn, and Benedictine. So Noah Kowacheski, really, really, really great kid too. So that's what I got, Cole.
Hey, some standout athletes. Hey, Wesley, appreciate it. If anyone needs to see any more content that you have, where do they need to go?
You can go on YouTube, just go to DRSportz, and on there you will see we have our podcasts, and just click on the podcast link and you will see the Great Plains podcast, and you'll see all of my videos and all my podcasts, and then go to the platform and you'll see my articles on there as well.
Very good. Wesley, appreciate the time.
Thank you.
That is Wesley White, a scout with the DRSportz and also the platform. Are you looking for a new way to promote your business or organization? Do you want to get your message out to a statewide audience that loves high school sports in both urban and rural areas? Kansas Sports Chatter has advertising opportunities from commercials, sponsoring specific guests, product placements, and even a premier sponsorship. Let Kansas Sports Chatter promote your brand. Contact ksportschatter@gmail.com for more advertising details. That's ksportschatter@gmail.com. Come join the chatter. It is our next level talent segment on Kansas Sports Chatter, an opportunity to talk to former high school athletes that are from the state of Kansas that are now competing at a college or university in the state of Kansas. And today's guest, Will Anciaux, a member of the Kansas State University football team and out of Kapaun Mount Carmel High School. Hey, Will, appreciate your time. How's the Manhattan life treating you?
Hey, thanks for having me. And Manhattan's been great. I'm loving it up here. It's been a great start to the football season and school year, and just having a great time.
Well, rewind a few years and going back to Kapaun Mount Carmel. What was that playing experience like with the Crusaders?
Man, I love my time at Kapaun. It was a blast there. I love playing with all my buddies that I grew up with. I really enjoyed playing under Coach Sharks for 3 years there at Kapaun, and it really just felt like my game and my love for the game expanded in my time there. And couldn't be more grateful and thankful for the opportunities that my time there gave me, and all the friendships and relationships that I built while I was there.
With all that talent in that Wichita area, how rewarding was it to get some of those city championships?
It was pretty rewarding. We had some tough games, and for a while there, my freshman year, we struggled a little bit. My sophomore year, obviously with COVID, we didn't really get a chance to play much of a city league schedule, but going into my junior year, we had a lot of good talent on the team, and being able to, compete with the other schools and get a city league title under there was a lot of fun, and it felt good, and something that me and my friends really worked a lot towards, and we're happy to get that done.
Well, you mentioned that junior year, a lot of success and a lot of talent. You guys go 10-2. You fought Mays in that sub-state ball game, or the Final Four. What do you remember from that ball game? I know it was a thriller, 22-21.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. It was a bunch of fun until the very end.
Sure.
But I mean, Mays was a great team that year. Obviously, having Avery at quarterback, he's a hell of a football player, and glad to have him on my team now and not have to play against him anymore. But it was a really good game. Both teams back and forth the whole time up until that last 2-point conversion there at the end. So it was a tough fought game, and a tough way to end the year. But it was a fun season that I had with all my friends, and I really remember a lot and had a lot of good memories.
Now, I know Mays eventually went on to fall that year in the championship game, but did you ever talk to, Avery and just say, hey, man, you cost me a state championship my junior season?
We've talked a little bit about it. And one of my roommates actually now is from Mill Valley, and he was on that team that played against Avery in that state championship game. And he always jokes with me, thinking that we would have had a better game with them that year, than we might have matched up a little better with them. But we've talked about it a little bit.
What was the recruiting process like for you, and why'd you end up on K-State?
The recruiting process for me was it was pretty smooth, to be honest. I picked up some interest after my sophomore year of high school that season, and had some offers from some KU, K-State, Nebraska, some local areas, not too far from around here, and just throughout the process, Kansas State really stuck out to me with, the culture they have here, all the people within the program, the coaches. It was a perfect place for me. And Manhattan's awesome. I love being here in Manhattan. It's not too far from my family, and, it gives me a chance to, grow as both a football player and a man. So those were really things that I was looking for, and, K-State had them all.
Redshirting your first season there in Manhattan, what was that experience like for you, and what'd you learn?
Yeah, my true freshman year when I redshirted, I think it was a really pivotal year for me. I needed that time to develop physically. I came in and I was weighing around 220-ish, and I know I needed to put on some weight in order to get to a spot where I could hold my own and compete against the guys that I was going to be playing against. So that year was really important for me and my weight gain and strength gain wise. And then also just becoming closer with all of my teammates and the guys in my class. That year was really big on that for me, being able to strengthen those bonds with them, and also just learning the playbook, getting more time on task with that, learning things and the different nuances of how to do stuff. So I think that year was great, and I'm glad that I was able to take that redshirt year to set me up for success later on.
How difficult is that as far as learning a playbook? I mean, I think a lot of people, especially most folks, that don't really recognize the complexity of picking up a certain playbook. Like for you, what were some of those challenges and how did you master that?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot that goes into it. I think at the tight end position too, there's quite a bit that you have to know, probably almost second to the quarterback, really, having to know both all the run game and the pass game stuff. So there's a lot that goes into, especially with the different schemes and all that. Just really like learning like who you're working with on certain run blocks, what different routes look like and different versus different coverages, like how you'd have to run it against man, how you'd see it against a cover 3 and a cover 2, stuff like that. So it took a long time, and just having other guys in the room that had a lot of experience around me was very helpful. Just kind of picking their brains on things, learning off of watching them do stuff. So it's a difficult task, but when you've got support around you, it makes it a lot easier.
Will Anciaux joining us here from K-State football and out of Cape and Mount Carmel High School. You mentioned, kind of in your recruiting process, being close, Manhattan, not too far away from the Wichita area for your family. So, like, how much family do you have at games? What's a game day like there at Bill Snyder?
I've got a ton of family at games. I'm very blessed. It's awesome. I've got at most home games, I've got both sets of my grandparents there. I've got pretty much my entire family most of the time. So that's mom, dad, and my 5 siblings. So I've got quite the crowd there, and every now and then I'm able to have some aunt, uncles, and cousins join along too. So I've got a great support staff. I love them all, and not support staff, but support group, and a great support system. And I love them all, and I'm glad they can be there to watch me and have those moments too.
Then on the other side, I guess, Will, like, what's the most intense place to play on the road so far in the Big 12 in your career?
Man, one that really sticks out to me was last year at BYU. That place was intense. It was jumping. It was a really late game. I think it was like an 11 o'clock kickoff Central Time, 11 p.m. So it was like a 9 o'clock game there even, and it was a late game, and I think it was a whiteout for them. I remember running out of the tunnel, all the lights were off. Everyone had their phones out and waving them around. There's like fire columns shooting out of the stadium. And it was an intense atmosphere. It was really cool. It was really neat. The backdrop of that stadium was already amazing, and just everything on top of that was nuts. And it got loud in there too. So that was a cool environment. Wish we could have had a different result that game, but it was a cool environment to play in.
Does that ever sink into you? I mean, like being a guy from Wichita, growing up in the Wichita area, and then like here you are, playing for K-State and, going on the road in Big 12 games. Like, does that ever sink in yet for you? Like, what an accomplishment that is?
I try and do my best to, take some deep breaths whenever I can before the games, really, just soak it all in. I'm blessed to be in a position where I am to be able to travel around and see these different places and, use the talents that I've been given to, travel around and go play football games and however many different states I've been to. So I really just try and take some deep breaths everywhere I go and, soak it in and, enjoy the moment that I'm in and be where my feet are.
Well, your Cape and Mount Carmel Crusaders are one of the favorites to win Class 4A this year. Do you feel pretty good about their chances?
I do. Yeah, I do feel good about them. I got my little brother is on the team this year. He's a senior. So I love keeping up with him and following along whenever I can. And I made it down to a game last bye week. Unfortunately, I can't make it over to St. James this week to go watch him. But, I love talking to him and following their success. And, they got some dudes on the team. And Coach Sharts, I know he'll always have them ready. So,
hey, Will, appreciate it. Best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's Will Anciaux, member of the Kansas State University football team and out of Cape and Mount Carmel High School. Are you a person that's always on the go? You can still easily keep up with Kansas Sports Chatter with the audio podcast. Hear each episode on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to follow the Kansas Sports Chatter podcast. Special thanks to the sponsors, Meyers Enterprises. If you're looking for digital advertising, make sure you contact Meyers Enterprises, and SPX. Looking to spruce up your gym or your event center, any type of facility, and you need a video wall, you got to contact SPX. To wrap up the show today, the first one of December, and also episode number 30 of Kansas Sports Chatter, we'll have a radio highlights from Brandon Tadtman, with the radio station out of Hiawatha, Kansas.
We have played 2.5 minutes in this opening quarter, no score. 3rd down and 13 here for the Tigers. Ball right at midfield, far side hash. The freshman Schwinn stands tall, laces one down the middle of the field, and that one is caught by Creighton Holman, and he's into the end zone for the touchdown. Right down the seam, Creighton Holman, the 6'2 senior, a 50-yard bomb from the freshman Brixton Schwinn, and at 9:13 to go in the opening quarter on 3rd and 13, Tigers find the end zone at 6-0.